Okay, so if you've heard that AI has basically solved mathematics just because, your chatbot can factor a quadratic equation, well, you might be in for a surprise today.
Oh, definitely. Real mathematics, especially at the research level, it's a wilderness out there.
Right. And in that wilderness, an AI math solver isn't just a fancy calculator, it's more like an explorer charting new territory.
Exactly.
So today we're diving deep into this AI Math Olympiad Showdown. We're looking closely at Asmat's analysis from July 2025, the one comparing Gemini 2.5 Pro and Grok 4.
Yep, Gemini 2.5 Pro versus Grok 4. AI Math Olympiad Showdown. That's the one.
Our mission here is to really unpack what AI math means at the cutting edge. We want to distinguish between the different kinds of math challenges AI faces and what that tells us about, well, how we learn and use knowledge ourselves.
It's a good mission because understanding these nuances is key. This should give you, the listener, a kind of shortcut to grasping current AI capabilities, especially in a field like math that people often think is purely logical, purely deterministic.
Prepare for some surprising facts and hopefully some practical takeaways too.
Absolutely. Press releases love shouting about benchmark scores, but the term AI math benchmark, it actually covers two really different types of tests.
Right. Two different species, you could say.
Yeah, exactly. And mixing them up just confuses the whole conversation. So I think it's really important we lay them out side by side right from the start.
Okay, that sounds crucial. Let's do it. What are these two distinct types? How do they differ in what they're actually testing? Let's start with the first one.
All right, so on one hand, you have something called the Vols AI benchmarks. Think of this one as more like an automated script.
Okay.
It's testing for a single, specific answer. It's deterministic. Success means getting that boxed integer, the final number, quickly and, importantly, cheaply.
So it's almost like a speed test.
Exactly. It's like a
Hmm.
timed multiple choice quiz. You get it right or you don't. There's no room for partial credit.
Gotcha. Speed, accuracy on one specific answer. What's the other side of the coin then?
That would be the MathArena IMO. IMO stands for International Mathematical Olympiad. And this is, well, it's a completely different beast.
Oh, so.
Here, you have human mathematicians grading open-ended proofs. We're talking 6 complex Olympiad problems.
Ah, so it's not just about the final number.
Not at all. Success here means presenting a rigorous chain of reasoning. You have to show your work, essentially, and that reasoning can earn partial credit. It's much more like a thesis defense judged by a jury.
Okay, so Val's is asking, did you hit the bullseye?
Right.
And Matharina is asking, okay, do you understand why that's the bullseye? Can you actually explain it back to us?
Precisely. You nailed it. They're fundamentally different games, even though they both fall under this umbrella of AI math.
And the IMO itself is notoriously difficult, isn't it?
Oh, incredibly so. 6 problems spread over 2 days. Each problem is scored from 0 to 7 points. For a human, solving even one problem completely is seen as like a heroic achievement.
Wow.
And get this, the median human competitor scores 0 on at least 3 of those 6 questions. It's brutal.
That really puts the challenge into perspective. Okay, so with that distinction clear, let's talk about this MathArena IMO showdown. Gemini 2.5 Pro apparently pulled off a surprising win. How did MathArena set this up to be a fair comparison, especially to avoid the AI just, regurgitating answers it had seen before?
That's a critical point.
Hmm.
They basically cloned the real IMO format for their 2025 leaderboard.
Mm.
They used human judges, which is key. And crucially, they used the freshest questions, meaning problems that were published just days before the test. This completely sidesteps the issue of training contamination, the AI simply memorizing answers from its training data. That's a real headache with older benchmarks.
Right, you want to test reasoning, not memory.
Exactly. And the prompts they gave the models was pretty demanding, too.
Yeah, I saw that. Write a full proof, explain each step clearly, cite only well-known theorems, keep equations in proper latex. If you're unsure about a step, state the doubt. Scored on rigor, completeness, and clarity. That's asking a lot.
It really is. It forces the AI to do more than just manipulate symbols. It has to construct a logical narrative. That's what mathematicians mean by problem solving, not just spitting out an answer.
And they didn't just take the first answer the AI gave, did they? There was this sampling process.
Correct. They used what's called best of 32 sampling. Each model actually generated 32 different attempts, 32 drafts for each problem. Then it used its own internal judge model to select the strongest one out of those 32.
32 drafts per problem. That sounds computationally expensive. What kind of cost are we talking about? You mentioned tokens earlier, the unit's AI processes.
Yeah, it definitely added up. For Gemini 2.5 Pro, that whole process cost around $430 for the full set of problems. Grok 4, which tends to use a bit more context, was closer to $500.
Wow. Okay, so not pocket change.
Not at all. But for this kind of cutting-edge research, trying to see the absolute peak capability, they felt it was worth the investment.
And the results. What did the scoreboard show?
The results were pretty stark. The official MathArena AI Math benchmarks table showed Gemini 2.5 Pro hitting 31.55% overall accuracy. That was literally double its nearest competitor.
Double. Who was the competitor?
Grok 4, in this case, which came in at 11.90%.
So a significant gap. Did Gemini excel everywhere, or were there specific areas?
It really shone on problem 3, which was described as a geometry haymaker. It managed a 71% partial credit rate on that one problem alone.
71% on a hard geometry problem. That's impressive.
Very. Though, interestingly, it struggled quite a bit on problems 2 and 6. Both of those were apparently number theory minefields.
Okay, so strengths and weaknesses. But that overall 31.55%, why is that considered such a big deal? It might still sound kind of low to some people.
Right, 31% doesn't sound like an A-plus TIS. But you have to remember the context. We just talked about how the median human gets 0 on half the test.
Good point.
So for an AI to be able to put together coherent, partially correct proofs on roughly half the problem set, that's a massive leap. It shows it's crossing a new frontier in actual mathematical problem solving, not just calculation. A decade ago, this wasn't even on the radar for AI.
So it's about demonstrating that reasoning ability, even if imperfectly.
Exactly. It's showing signs of genuine conceptual understanding, enough to convince human expert judges to award points. And that wide gap between Gemini and Grok in this specific test, that's definitely going to steer research directions.
That makes sense. It's not just the score, but what the score represents in terms of capability. So diving deeper now, what did ASMAT's analysis find inside Gemini? What gave it this edge in constructing proofs?
ASMAT's source points to a few key things based on analyzing its proof attempts, its logs. First, something called proof grammar.
Proof grammar, what's that?
It means Gemini was, well, structured. It kept a neat ledger of its claims and how they depended on each other. Definitions came first. Lemmas were named clearly. Equations referenced earlier steps properly.
So it wrote like a mathematician would hope to read. Clear and logical.
Pretty much. That kind of narrative discipline is what turns raw computation into something a human judge can actually follow and evaluate as mathematics. It's crucial for getting that partial credit.
Okay, so structure was key. What else?
Second, spatial instincts, especially in geometry. Remember problem 3 where it did so well?
The geometry haymaker?
Gemini apparently picked coordinate systems that really simplified the symmetries in the problem. It would then rotate axes to make equal angles obvious. Judges noted this wasn't just correct, it was elegant. It mirrored the kind of craft you see from experienced human Olympiad participants.
So a kind of intuition for the geometry. Interesting. And the third thing?
Third was that sampling patience we mentioned. That best of 32 wasn't just brute force. While some of Gemini's 32 drafts might have been messy or gone down wrong paths, its internal self-judge model was consistently good at picking the most coherent, promising one.
So the extra cost, the extra tokens, bought it depth.
Exactly. It was an investment that paid off, especially on that tough geometry problem.
And it seems like there was one more element. Something about humility.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. When Gemini couldn't solve something, it often explicitly stated that. It would output a note like, cannot complete the proof.
Instead of just making something up.
Right. Instead of hallucinating a fake shortcut or non-existent theorem, which AI language models are sometimes prone to do, that honesty, that humility, actually protected it from getting 0 points for using bogus reasoning. Sometimes knowing what you don't know is valuable.
That's a really fascinating insight. Okay, let's switch gears to Grok 4. We heard it lagged behind in the MathArena proof contest, but you mentioned earlier it shines elsewhere.
Oh, absolutely. In those other arenas, the deterministic ones like the Val's AI benchmarks we talked about, Grok is often king of the hill.
Like the Math 500 benchmark.
Exactly. On Math 500, Grok's score, something like 96%, is a major headline in AI benchmark rankings. It crushes it there.
So it's like it has this split personality. Brilliant at one type of math task, struggles with another.
That's a perfect way to put it. And the analysis suggests why. Grok's internal policy seems designed to prune explanations, to be concise, likely to save tokens and speed things up.
Which is great for timed quizzes.
Right, where you just need the answer. fast. But in a proof-scoring context like MathArena, that minimalism becomes a major liability. You need the explanation, the reasoning, to get partial credit.
So the very thing that makes it win one game causes it to lose the other.
Precisely. It's a classic trade-off. Optimize for speed and conciseness, and you might sacrifice depth and explainability.
A really important lesson there about AI design and evaluation. Okay, so even the winner, Gemini, wasn't perfect. Where are the areas where even the best AI models are still tripping up in mathematics?
Yeah, definitely room for improvement. One issue highlighted was imaginary citations.
Meaning?
Sometimes when Gemini got stuck, it would invent theorems. It would give them plausible, scholarly-sounding names, but they'd be completely fictitious, never appeared in any textbook.
Oh, wow. That could be really misleading.
It definitely erodes trust. Another issue is context collapse. For really long proofs, say over 2,000 tokens, the model sometimes loses track of an assumption it made way back at the beginning.
And that breaks the logic later on.
Exactly. It breaks the chain of reasoning. This points to a fundamental challenge: getting these models to reliably handle very long stretches of coherent thought.
And beyond these logical flaws, there's the issue of language, right? The multilingual gap.
Yes, the MGSM benchmark multilingual grade school math reveals this clearly. All the top models show a significant dip in performance in languages like Bengali. Swahili also drags down scores.
Why those languages specifically?
It boils down to the training data. English overwhelmingly dominates the massive data sets these models are trained on. So for other languages, there's just much less data, leading to weaker performance. A truly universal AI math tool needs to fix that.
That makes sense. And another lurking problem is contamination, right? We touched on it earlier.
Huge issue. The risk that models aren't reasoning, but just memorizing answers to problems that were publicly available in their training data, like from old AIM contests or even Math 500 itself.
MathArena dodged this with fresh problems, but for ongoing evaluation.
It's tricky. The source suggests the future needs things like strict secrecy windows for new benchmark problems, maybe randomized sampling of problems, and much more careful auditing of what goes into the training data. Otherwise, we're just measuring memory, not math skills.
Okay, so looking ahead, based on all this, the wins, the flaws, the challenges, what does the ideal AI math solver need? What's on the shopping list for the next generation?
The analysis lays out a pretty clear vision. First, better proof discipline. That means reliably tracking every variable, every inequality, every hidden assumption, even across thousands of tokens. No more context collapse.
Makes sense. What else?
Second, citation integrity. Referencing only real theorems, things you can actually find on Wikipedia or in a standard textbook. No more making stuff up, those ghost references.
Right. And the imaginary theorems.
Third, true multilingual reach. Bringing languages like Bengali, Swahili, Marathi up from being afterthoughts to being first-class citizens in performance.
Crucial for accessibility. And what about the cost? That $400, $500 per run?
Exactly. Fourth is the economic footprint. That price tag needs to shrink dramatically. $432 for Gemini's run is research lab money. It's not something a school or a student can afford.
So cheaper and more accessible?
And finally, fifth, explainable computation. The models need to consistently show their work in a way that helps learning. Teachers and students need an AI partner they can learn from, not just a black box that spits out answers. Partial credit matters here, too.
It really sounds like the benchmarks themselves are driving innovation, but also maybe reaching their limits.
That's a key point. We're seeing benchmark saturation. Tests like Math 500, MGSM, AM, top models are hitting 90% or more. When everyone aces the test isn't useful anymore for differentiating the best.
So we need harder tests, or different kinds of tests.
Both. Either increase the difficulty or change the scoring lens, like MathArena did, by focusing on proofs and human judging. And really, the big takeaway from MathArena isn't just that Gemini won, it's those proof logs.
The fact that we can see the attempts.
Yes. Seeing the trying, the failing, the pivoting, it shows these models are starting to internalize the steps of reasoning, not just memorizing answers. That ability to think aloud, that transparency, it's not just nice to have, it's becoming the main ingredient for progress.
But we keep coming back to that cost. How do we bridge the gap between a $500 research run and a tool someone can actually use?
That's the economic reality check. Inference cost, the cost to actually running the model, is what shapes real-world adoption. Researchers are working on it, looking at things like model compression, making the model smaller without losing capability, or using hybrid approaches.
Right.
The goal is to turn this impressive academic trophy into a tool that could actually be a mass-market tutor.
Makes sense. And as these tools get more powerful and accessible, are there ethical considerations we need to keep in mind?
Absolutely. The source calls them ethical potholes on the proof highway. We talked about ghost references, inventing theorems. That's a big one.
Right. What else?
There's the risk of plagiarized proofs if models just start copying known solutions without understanding, and potentially proof by intimidation, where a model generates such a long, complex, jargon-filled output that it hides logical flaws, basically trying to overwhelm the user.
So we need new ways to teach and evaluate with these tools.
Exactly. Our pedagogy needs to adapt.
Hmm.
We need new rubrics that assess not just if the AI's answer is right, but if its reasoning process is sound, transparent, and honest.
Okay, so let's try to pull this all together. We started by drawing a clear line between two types of AI math benchmarks: the fast answer-focused VALS AI type and the deep proof-based MathArena IMO type.
Right. One's a quiz, one's a thesis defense.
We saw Gemini 2.5 Pro make a significant leap in the MathArena setting, getting over 31% accuracy, mainly thanks to its structured proofs, good geometric intuition, effective sampling, and even its honesty when it failed.
While Grok 4, the king of the faster benchmarks, struggled there because its design optimizes for conciseness over explanation. That's split personality.
And we looked at the ongoing challenges: AI making things up, losing track in long arguments, the big gaps in non-English languages, and the constant battle against benchmark contamination or memorization.
And the path forward seems to involve demanding more rigor, more transparency, better multilingual support, lower costs, and crucially, developing ethical safeguards and new teaching methods.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, that 31% from Gemini, it's not the end goal, is it?
Not at all. It's a milestone, not a medal. Like we said a decade ago, getting any coherent Olympiad proof from a machine was pure science fiction. Now they're starting to contribute, to be like new voices at the virtual whiteboard. Each benchmark pushes the frontier a little further.
The source really emphasizes that mathematics is still fundamentally a human conversation. So as these AI models get better at reasoning, at thinking aloud in this mathematical way, how should our own relationship with learning math change? What's our responsibility in checking their work, especially when they can churn out 32 attempts in minutes?
That's the provocative thought, isn't it? And the source offers some very direct, practical advice for you, the listener. It says, treat every AI math solver as a study buddy, never an answer vending machine.
A study buddy. I like that framing.
Yeah, you learn by thinking, not by copying output. Keep solving by hand. The moment you let the model think for you, you stop learning.
That's powerful advice. At the end of the day, understanding it yourself.
That's it. Knowledge itself is the prize.